Hi, this is Dr. Anbu Selvan from University Tunku Abdul Rahman, Malaysia. In this video, I will take you through the installation of the software, alright, that will be required, alright, to develop web applications based on Java EE. So as you can see here, right, on the screen, so there will be a few software, right, that will be that we need to be installed, right? So first of all, JDK will go first, after that followed by WildFly, okay, thereafter Postgresql, and then the last one will be the IntelliJ from JetBrains. So during the installation, right, of course, we will actually get some files, alright, like employee backup.sql file, right? This is a data file that we will load into the DBMS PostgreSQL. Okay, all right, so let's start working on this installation. So I'm going to double click on this JDK 11.0.4. Okay, click next. Obviously we can have more than one JDK in your machine, right? But there should be one JDK that is default, right? So if you have other JDKs, no problem, all right, but make sure, right, this JDK, right, is actually the default one, right? So we will actually we need to do some configurations later on, right, on how to make this JDK as the default one, right? Okay, now so we need to check whether this JDK, right, has been installed successfully or not, right? So we'll go to the local disk and we will check here program files, and you see Java here, right? So JDK 11.0.4. so unlike the previous JDKs, right, where you need to like go through two levels of installation. One is the JDK, the other one JRE, right? For JDK 11 onwards, not required anymore, right? So you have just install once, all right? So you may not find anything like here JRE, right? Okay, JDK 11. Okay, now next I need to configure this, so I'll just copy the path of this particular JDK, and I'll access the environment variables, okay, over here, advanced system settings, click, all right, and under the path, okay, I'm going to create a new, that's it. And if you have multiple JDKs, right, make sure this actually is pushed to the top. Okay, so move up, make sure this one comes first, right, then followed by other JDKs. Okay, and then I need to have a system variable, right, called Java home. This is actually required for your server, all right, WildFly server, right? We'll look for Java home, right? Okay, so we need to provide this path, and of course we don't need this bin, right? So this will be needed by the server, so that is why you have this, right? Okay, all right, so you can just remove it, all right, and then click OK. So next we need to test whether your JDK is the default one or not, right? So you can go to the CMD and right click, run as administrator, and you just have to type in Java dash version, can you see that, 11.04. so no issues, so we exit. Next, the WildFly. Okay, so over here I have WildFly, so you just have to, you don't have to really install, right? You just have to copy the folder. I'll just go to the documents and place it here. So you may actually ask why we need to place here, right? Because sometimes later on when you want to do some like reading and writing, right, you want to store something into this folder, right? So permission will not be required, right? If you put into the local other directories like under the program files, installation directories, and then we have problem, right, with the permission. So that is why I place it right into the document, right? Okay, so now how to start working on this, right? So I need to do the configuration here as well. Okay, so I'm going to copy the path for this, and I need to bring up the environment variables. Okay, path new, that's it. I can just move up this. Okay, so this is done. So I want to start the server manually, right? And then shut down, right? So how do I do that actually, right? So if you go to the documents, in order to start the server WildFly, there is a command here. We call it standalone BAT batch file. But I'm not going to click here, right, to launch this server, right? So I'm going to right away type in this standalone.bat from the command prompt, because we already configured the path, right, to the path for the WildFly, right? So the command should be recognized now. So cmd. So I'll just type in here standalone. Okay. Yes, it's running, starting, right? It's launching the server. Okay. So another thing that we need to observe is we have to make sure, right, that the server has started successfully or not by observing whether there are any errors over here, right? So if let's say there are some errors, right, and you misconfigured the server, right, you'll get to see here over here, right, started with errors, right? So we need to observe that, right, when you launch the server. So right now there is no actually like message here, errors, nothing, right? Okay, how do I actually stop the server, right? So there is a command for that as well. So I get from the internet. Well, we can't remember all the commands, right? Okay, so okay. Okay, so I'll just type in here WildFly stop. Okay, server. So over here they provide here, right, some commands on how to stop the server, starting and stopping the server, right? There is, yeah, so you just have to copy this, and we have to open another command prompt. Always remember run as administrator, and then over here we just type in this, copy paste, and that's it. All right, so the server actually has stopped, no issues, right? Okay, so we just close this. Right, so server is done. All right, we have configured. Okay, we have tested the server. Next we will actually install the DBMS PostgreSQL. So double click on this. Okay, so click next, and then we just follow this path, default one, next. Well, we can install all of them, or you can just uncheck the stack builder, next, and data directory, no changes. Password, I put PostgreSQL for us for us to easier to remember, right? PostgreSQL. PostgreSQL. All right. Okay, default port. Next. That's it. So it will take actually it will take a while, right, to get the thing right installed in the machine. Well, it takes a while, right, for the installation. We're almost there. It's actually starting the service. Of course, you can go to the services in Windows, right, to manually start the service, or you can have like auto start. All right, so click finish. Okay, what's next? So we know that the Postgresql has been installed. You can check that. It's over here. Postgresql SQL, this is the one, right? Okay, it's already there. Okay, so how to actually work with this Postgresql SQL, right? So we have an interface called PG admin, right? So this actually allows us to interact with the DBMS, right, where we can actually export the data, we can actually do some queries, SQL queries, we can create tables and so forth. Of course, we can actually we can use this shell PSQL, right? This is a command base, right? So okay, password POSTGRESQL, right? So we can also work with DBMS PostgreSQL through this interface. We call it SQL shell, right? Will be a little bit challenging because you need to know the commands, right, to create tables, to execute queries, export, and other things. So if I don't want to use this, then you can go for alternative, which is the graphical user interface. All right, we call it PG admin, right? So you need to add we need to type in one more time. There you are. So just like a PSQL, right, just now I showed you, right, the command prompt way actually, right, to access, right, in a similar way, but here you see more buttons. You don't have to remember the commands, right? So you can create database, you can create tables, all right, you can export, and you can do other things. So right now I'm going to create a database first. We call it employees. Okay, done. All right, so I'm going to load the I have lots of data, right? I'm going to load into this database, right? So I need to prepare database first, all right, before you could carry out the loading of the data right into this database, right? So I minimize this, and what's next? Okay, so we need to check, because I'm going to execute some commands from the command prompt, right? Related to the PostgreSQL, but I need to check whether the commands can be recognized or not, because then we need to do some configuration over here. As usual, we need to make sure that under the path, well, we don't have that, the PostgreSQL configuration. So what I need to do is we go to the Postgres, and under the bin you can just copy this path, okay, and you just create new. That's it. Right, done. Okay, so now config, I'm going to execute this, right, on the command prompt, so that this SPSQL is actually the commands related to the PostgreSQL, right? So it should be recognized. So I already configured that, cmd. Okay, and I'm going to copy this. Oops, Control C. Okay, so over here, the name of the database, this is a username, this is the name of the database, and you need to provide the location of the file. The file actually is over here, we call it employee backup SQL, and I need to provide the destination of this file. Okay, okay, and what is the name of the file is, I can just copy this, is employees backup SQL, right? That's it. Okay, then I hit the enter button, I post password. So it's actually loading data into the database, right? Employees, right? Database that we created just now, right? Which is this, right? So it takes a while because there are a lot of records there, right? Okay, and you have multiple tables. Yeah, it's done. So we can check whether the data has been successfully loaded or not. So I just have to refresh this and then go to the schemas, which is the employees, and under the tables I can get to see all this, right? Means that it's already there, but I need to just check, try to observe, view the first 100 records. So it's already there, right? Okay, so it's successful, done. This part is done. Next software will be the IntelliJ, right? Okay, so double click on this. So before you can actually install the IntelliJ, right, this is actually the I will say that it's a professional edition now, right? So you need to have license for this, right? So education license, all right, you can apply, and it's free, all right, in order to use this once you get the license, right? Okay, so make sure you have account, all right, with JetBrains, all right. Education license you can always apply. Okay, next, click next, and I will just check these boxes and add bin Java, right, and install. As soon as you have installed the IntelliJ, right, you have to integrate, you need to configure the server, you need to configure the database, right? Because when we talk about any application, right, it, especially web application, it has to communicate, the web application has to be executed by a server, right? And then of course we will store data in database. So these two things, right, server and then the DBMS, these two things you have to configure that, right? You have to do some configuration in IntelliJ, so that IntelliJ, right, can communicate with DBMS, right, and then the server, right, while developing web application, right. Okay. So make sure you have license, all right, you have account with JetBrains, because after this, when you launch the IntelliJ, right, you will ask for the license, right, JetBrains account, right. Okay, reboot manually later, finish. So I'm going to place it here. Okay, double click on this. Okay, well, you can just put this. Do not import settings. Okay, so can you see that you have here JetBrains account, activation code, license server. So I have applied for this license and I have account. So you just have to log into JetBrains account. All right, so you can log in. Okay. Okay, you just have to sign in. That's it, and you have to activate this. Okay, and that's it. All right, close. Now you can actually create a new project. So I'm going to create a new project. Okay, so you have a lot of various types of projects that actually can build using IntelliJ. So right now I'm going to create a web application. So therefore, right, I need to look for something related to web application. So I think it's Java Enterprise, and I'm going to provide a name for this, a project name. Okay, and this should be a web application, and the IntelliJ, right, is intelligent, right, in the sense that it can actually detect the kind of JDK that actually I'm using, the default one. So that is why you're seeing 11.0.4, right. If you have like other JDKs, so it might actually detect the default one, right. Okay, so but I have yet to configure the application server. All right, so I can just click here, new. I don't have anything here. Okay, new, and it is a WildFly server. So click this, and you have to provide the location of your server, right. So I can just click this and look for, it's actually under documents or users here. Okay, and it should be here. Yeah, this one, right. So just click this. Okay, and you click OK. All right, that's it. Click next. And if you are creating a web application, right, so please check this full platform. When you click this, all these are related ones, right, will be clicked as well. And over here I need to work with Hibernate and Validator. That's it, these two things. Click finish. Close. So it will take a while, right, because it will download all the dependencies, APIs, right from the internet. Okay, so I'm going to close this. So can you see that dependencies is downloading, right? Okay, so you have to allow for this downloading to take place lah. All right, okay, we'll do some indexing and so forth, right? So you'll see here I can say updating Maven repository, okay, indexes, all right, it's downloading, all right, APIs from internet, right? So you just have to wait. Maven projects. Okay, so when you click this external, right, you can get to see this libraries downloaded from internet, right? Maven. So the good thing about Maven is it actually facilitates, right, the downloading of the dependency, right, in a much more easier way, right? So you just have to type in what exactly you want, then it will download for you automatically, right? So Maven actually is a kind of tool, right, that allows us, right, to download dependencies, right, without any problems, right? So it actually uses pom.xml. So you just have to type in here what API that you want, and then you just have to refresh, or you can always look for here Maven and then reload project, right? So it will download, right, accordingly, right? Okay, so this is done. So what we need to check, the next thing is, okay, because later on, right, you will create for web application. If you want to execute, we need to bundle the entire project file into war file, WAR. So normally for standalone, you just bundle it into exe file, then you can just double click exe and then it will work. But the same, right, will not work for web application project, right? You have to convert into war file, and then it has to be hosted in web application. So I need to create, when I create a project file, and then later on, right, we may want to run or load the war file in a different server, right? So we need to configure that. So I'll go to the project, perhaps the project structure, artifacts. Over here, war file, I'll just put here include in the project build. Okay, so apply, click OK, right? So right now I'm going to run this. Okay, web application index.jsp. Okay, so I'll just have to run, but before that, right, your server has been already configured here, right? Otherwise you will not get to see this, right? So I can just edit configuration. I can check what are the configurations that need to be changed. So for now, all these are default one, right? Okay, so I don't need. Okay, as long as I can start the server within the IDE, that's good enough. Okay, so I'm going to run this. Okay, there is no. Okay, okay, so we will start the server first. Okay, so okay, so what I can do is perhaps I'll just uncheck this. Okay, and you run this. Okay, run. Okay, so your server is running, no issues. Okay, so let me go back and try to check this. Include whether I can do that or not. Rerun. Okay, so let me check here the WAR file is there or not. Target. Yeah. Okay, so what if, let's say, I'm going to build the artifact. War build. See, got any problem here or not? Okay. Okay, so now go back here, rerun. Okay, so this is the WAR file. So we can check here as well. What if project structure? Okay, target. WAR file. Okay, so what if I just change this project structure to be out? So we just rerun. And we will rebuild this. Okay. Okay, there you see, right? So you have WAR files there. So later on, right, you can copy this and then you can just host in any server it will run. Okay, so what you need to do is just have to put it under out here, right? Then it will work. Okay. Okay, having done this, what is the next thing? We have tested, alright, your server is working. So the next thing is the database, right? So we need to configure that. So you have here new driver and data source. Okay. Right. First of all, talking about driver. Okay. So it should be okay. So I need to configure this first. This we will actually take in MySQL, not MySQL, PostgreSQL. Take the stable one. Okay, and that's it. Okay, and I can just give a Postgres driver. Okay, PostgreSQL driver. Click apply. Okay, so we have just completed the configuration of the driver. Done. Next is the create data source, right? Okay, not this. So next will be PostgreSQL. And URL you can just copy from here. Test the connection. Yeah, it's working. And of course the schemas default we need to change here, and will be employees. Click apply, and that's it. So immediately, right, you will see here PostgreSQL driver, right? And obviously we can expand this. Okay, and tables we can test this. SQL scripts first, so maybe we just run 100 employees. Okay, and I just run, right? Yeah, so it's working. Right. So I can just rename this, alright? Perhaps, okay, employee PostgreSQL data source to a more meaningful, right? Okay. So once you are done, this is done. We have checked this. Okay, so it's working. So we have just configured that, and next will be settings, control alternate as, right? We'll go to the language, look for JavaScript. Not this. Oops. Under JavaScript libraries, we need to get this download jQuery, right? So we need to get that jQuery. jQuery. We need to get that. jQuery, right? Yeah, this one, right? Download, install, right? Okay, done. Click OK. Next is we need to get the plugin. Okay, so EJB, all right, it is there. Install this. Okay, done. So settings. So under the project structure, we can see that global we have downloaded the jQuery library. SDK we are using 11.04. Artifacts, okay, libraries are there. Modules, okay, that's it. So you just close this. Okay. So when you create a web application, you will have a standard three folders here, right? Java resources. This is where you place all the JSP HTML files, and under here, right, you see we have web inf. Okay. Okay. So next thing is we have tested. We're going to place a file called, okay, this one, jboss, right? So I'm going to place it right under here. Okay. Now what is the purpose? This is actually right to, because when you work with database, right, in an application you must have a driver, right? Okay, the driver that you installed just now is actually in the IDE, but not in the application. So later on when you want to test your application, right, without the IDE, right, you must have driver, right, to communicate with PostgreSQL, right? So you can actually place it the driver by creating another folder lib, right? You can do that, no issues. Okay, so but the thing is, instead of getting the driver and then place the jar file here, I'm going to actually use the driver that is already present in the server, right? So if you go here, documents, okay, under modules, system, layers, base, com, PostgreSQL, the driver is already there, right? So I just have to use that. Okay, so it's already there, right? Okay, it's already there, right? So why want to get a driver jar file, right, when you can actually use that driver that is already in the server? So we need to tell the location of the driver, so that is why you have a jboss deployment structure XML, right? So the application will know where to find their driver. That's the thing, right? Okay, so I guess everything is done, right? Everything is settled. So we first of all we have installed the JDK, and then WildFly, and then PostgreSQL, then install the IntelliJ, and then we configured two things in the IntelliJ, which are server, and then the other one is the database, right? Okay, so next thing, you need to log out from IntelliJ, right? How do I do that? You can just close the project. Okay. Okay, can you see that over here? Each time when you log in and you have to log out, can you manage licenses? and then you just have to log out. Okay, log out, finish. Right, finish. That's it. Then you can actually exit. Okay, exit, done. Okay, so I guess that's all right. Okay, take care, bye.